Now, a special presentation honoring Black history.
Thank you for joining us on Fox 43's Honoring Black History special. I'm Rebecca Chung. Tonight we're sharing stories of those who have made their mark around the country. We begin right here at home. There's a lot more than might meet the eye when it comes to Black history here in Topeka. That's why one exhibit is in the works to make sure we never forget. Our very own Jacob Kaufman shows us what's to come and learn about Black history in the capital city.
Black history runs deep in Topeka.
The more we look, the more we find. It's really amazing.
With such a rich history and the 70th anniversary of Brown v. Board of Education coming up, the Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library has asked the Black American Blueprint Collective to put together an exhibit, telling it all from their perspective so they can highlight and make sure that the community knows the African American story here in the capital city.
What they're going to find there is information about Black communities, how they got started, who were the characters, what were the things that happened during the history of Black Topeka from the beginning up until today.
The exhibit will be called Our Stories, African American Topeka Before and After Brown. With so much to learn, Sherry Camp says it's important to keep this history alive.
What happens is if you don't talk about your history, your young people lose hope. They don't know who they are, and they don't think that what they think or how they feel or their lives matter.
A great example of hope, John and Harriet Freeman. John, a businessman from Indiana before moving to Topeka after losing it all from racism and oppression, and Harriet, a Topeka High grad who continued her husband's legacy.
When he moved to Topeka, he started right off buying property. He started right off starting businesses, and when he passed that on to his wife, which she took over. And what my understanding is that she was the first African-American female millionaire in Topeka.
Harriet Freeman, now buried in the Topeka Cemetery, is only one of many historic African Americans that will be highlighted in the exhibit. Others include attorneys for the Brown v. Board of Education case and Elijah Scott and his family, Topeka business owner Nick Childs, Ludi Lytle, who was the first African American to be admitted to the Kansas bar, and more. But with so much history and so much to cover, there's always more that might not be known.
One of the most important things is we can tell the story, but there's always going to be stories that maybe we don't know. So we're asking and inviting people to not only come and learn, but also come and share.
The traveling exhibit will run through May 19th at the Topeka Shawnee County Public Library. The Black American Blueprint Collective is looking for more places around Topeka to bring the exhibit to after, so they can keep telling stories of African American Topekans for as long as they can. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. inspired millions around the world, and now his only granddaughter aims to pick up where he left off. 15-year-old Yolanda Renee King has released a new picture book. We Dream a World is a tribute to her celebrated grandparents. And honoring Black history tonight, Donna Terrell caught up with Yolanda at Spelman College in Atlanta, where 5 generations of King women attended school.
I am ready to keep my eyes on the prize that you set out before us with the power of your vision.
Words lifted off the page from the only grandchild of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as Yolanda Renee King reads from her new picture book, We Dream a World.
Yes, Grandma Coretta. Yes, Granddaddy Martin. I am ready.
She calls it a letter to her celebrated grandparents.
Let's talk about the book. What inspired it?
Well, I think that for a very long time, we've needed a message to the world of what type of world we can have. And I think that if you look at movements, it's led by young people.
This socially engaged 15-year-old
if I could speak to my grandfather today,
has been sharing her message to large crowds for years, including the one here with her mom and dad, Martin Luther King III, at the March on Washington.
I see you've been giving a lot of speeches. You like doing that?
So funny that you asked, because actually, if you ask my parents, I've always loved talking. I've always had something to say.
And she's saying it with passion.
I'm 14 years old, and I'm just getting started.
And conviction, speaking last year at an MLK program at Clemson University, taking on tough issues like homelessness and violence.
I know it is my duty as an American to use the platform given to me by my grandparents' sacrifices to uplift the voices of my peers.
I think I've always had a concern about these issues, and I've always heard his speeches playing around the house.
This young change maker says in her granddad's speeches and books are the answers to reimagine his dream.
He left us behind homework, and I feel like we've been procrastinating on that homework.
Andrea Waters-King uses her wisdom to support her daughter. She recalls a reporter asking Yolanda if she wanted to pattern herself after Dr. King.
She thought about it for a few seconds, and she quickly said, yes, I do, because those footsteps are important, but I want to make my own footsteps.
The book, a continuation of Yolanda's calling.
She described herself as like having an itch, you know, that you just have to scratch.
I feel like I have an obligation to continue the work that he didn't quite get to, that he didn't get to reach.
We are going to be a great generation.
Blazing her own trail of social activism, Yolanda takes with her Dr. King's legacy.
We are ready to reach.
His name.
To rise, to sparkle like stars in a bold blue sky.
And his dream.
From today to tomorrow, we dream a world.
In Atlanta, Donna Terrell reporting.
A thriving hub for music in the South, impacting businesses and culture for decades. Still ahead, we go back to where the first beats all started and how famous musicians are keeping the long traditions alive today. Plus, we go inside the oldest black church on the West Coast, how the congregation is using its long history to build a better future.
Weekday, Sherry's here to play.
Woo, it feels good.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 12 on Fox 43.
Come to the Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library as we celebrate Black history. Hear from Black authors, explore art exhibits from the Black American Blueprint Collective, see Humanities Kansas traveling exhibit in March and more. Visit the Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library website for more details.
This is a fish, a clownfish actually. He lives in a reef like this, in an ocean like this. This ocean contains these currents. These currents help carry fishing boats like these. Fishing boats like these bring their catch to port. Their catch is loaded onto this truck and delivered to this restaurant. This restaurant serves dinner to this family. This family drives back to their home. Their home borders this forest. This forest surrounds this creek. This creek trickles into this river down to these mangroves. These mangroves buffer the coastline from this bay. This bay is a hunting ground for this shark. This shark swims out to this ocean. This ocean flows over this reef. This reef is home to this fish. This is a fish, a clownfish actually.
Start with a bang. Mix in some superstar power and turn them loose. That's the Great American Race. The Daytona 500, February 18th on Fox.
Don't miss Masked Singer, a fundraising event at the historic Columbian Theater in Wamego.
Come to the Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library as we celebrate Black history. Hear from Black authors, explore art exhibits from the Black American Blueprint Collective, see Humanities Kansas traveling exhibit in March and more. Visit the Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library website for more details.
Welcome back. It's the oldest historically black church on the West Coast, and it was founded the same year California officially became a state. As we celebrate Black History Month, we wanted to highlight this institution and how a new pastor at the church hopes to use its history to make a better future. Richard Sharp takes us to St. Andrew's African Methodist Episcopal Church to show us how it's growing.
There are some traditions that haven't changed much in the 173-year history of the St. Andrew's AME Church in Sacramento. like the singing that moves the soul.
And welcome to worship this morning. The one thing that I hope we never lose is the spirit that started this church.
Pastor Jason Thompson's probably the newest addition to the church that dates back to the Gold Rush era.
This is a great church. It's surreal in that someone has selected you to be the leader.
As a new leader of St. Andrews, Pastor Jason hopes to build on its impressive foundation.
This isn't just a place to learn about God. This is also a place to say, now that we've learned about God, how do we go out and make that difference?
The land purchase?
Yes.
Oh, it used to look like this?
Yeah.
Explain to this.
And that's the church annual blue.
You've been in this location. Walk down the halls with the Historical Committee of St. Andrews, and you get the incredible story.
I think of it in terms of what it means for the community.
St. Andrews was formed in 1850, originally just a place for black settlers, gold miners, and pioneers to meet in peace. It quickly became so much more. It was a place for some of the first organized political activity by black people in California, focusing on civil rights, voting rights, and even hosting major events like the California Colored Citizens State Convention.
I come here, there is a connection of people throughout the denomination.
I'm already preaching, y'all. Yeah.
For those that grew up at St. Andrews, like Kimberly Washington,
you're loving your neighbor.
It's not just a church, it's home.
As it was 10 years ago, as it was 20, 40 years ago, and beyond when my grandmother first walked through those doors.
But time has a way of changing things, and it's noticed here at St. Andrews. More and more people are coming back to the faith.
I do feel as though there are people who come to worship every week who feel very much alienated. They feel beaten down by the systems and come and find a space where they belong. They feel free. They feel safe. More importantly, how we should live and worship every day. I think the messages that we give are reminders that we have to be kind, that we have to be loving, we have to be just. And the person God intended you to be.
Well, the past here is historic. It's the future of St. Andrews that deserves attention.
It's the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God.
Taking you all the way back to the 19th century now, Tampa, Florida was a thriving hub for black business and black culture. But there's one area of the city that helped many famous musicians get their foot in the door. From the late 1800s to the 1970s, Central Avenue between Ybor and downtown Tampa was bustling with black culture. Musicians like Ella Fitzgerald and Ray Charles got their start there. Both used to perform along Central Avenue. And it was a major spot for black artists during the Harlem Renaissance. It's this kind of history still impacting local musicians today. That includes Grammy-nominated artist Nathaniel Mitchell.
It allowed artists, it allowed musicians, it allowed all creators to be more creative and expressive, and it in a way that was very accepting. You know, during a time where, you know, black arts was not accepting.
Now, Central Avenue used to be lined with black-owned businesses, which attracted black musicians to the area. And the musicians like Mitchell hope to keep the stories of Central Avenue and black artists alive. The exploration of two different cities and cultures can be a different experience, but for these young musicians, the power of the instruments is all the same notes. Coming up, how students are sharing their talents through the blasts of brass and winds.
Come to the Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library as we celebrate Black history. Hear from Black authors, explore art exhibits from the Black American Blueprint Collective, see Humanities Kansas traveling exhibit in March and more. Visit the Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library website for more details.
Okay, Dad, look at you.
I look nice, don't I?
I see you.
Adding your own flavor to fashion comes with age.
Oh, man, that's the best one yet.
Forgetting how to add doesn't. Finding it difficult to work with numbers may be a sign of Alzheimer's.
Dad, are you okay?
An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one.
High school. Yeah. Hey, Dad. Do you want to talk about what happened earlier?
Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's. Some things come with age. Some others don't.
Life got you down.
Hey, Calvin, how's it going?
Great.
Perfect. I knew you'd be in a bad mood.
The neighborhood is here to help.
You're suffering from an acute case of situational maladaptive stress.
And a case of TMD.
TMD.
Too much Dave.
We care about you.
I care so much.
And want to make your life funnier. With our friendly neighbors.
Here is your handshake. Have a nice day.
Weeknights at 11:30 on Fox 43.
Come to the Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library as we celebrate Black history. Hear from Black authors, explore art exhibits from the Black American Blueprint Collective, see Humanities Kansas traveling exhibit in March and more. Visit the Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library website for more details.
Welcome back to Fox 43's Honoring Black History special. For the past several years, the Trombone Shorty Foundation in New Orleans has traveled to Havana as part of a cultural exchange. The young students from both countries share musicianship and make their own history. Chris Leach has made the trip and has their story.
When you come here, you're just immediately hit with the similarities with New Orleans especially.
Havana is some 670 miles across the Gulf of Mexico from the Crescent City and in some ways very different. However, there is a shared musical history.
Because so much of the music here and so much of the music and culture in New Orleans is informed by Africa through the Caribbean, specifically Cuba.
To that end, a celebratory partnership of continuing that connection is being explored by the students of the Trombone Shorty Foundation and the Guillermo Tomas Conservatory, sprung up as a bi-national means of young musicians sharing their music.
Yeah, you know, the Mardi Gras Indian second line music that we play, we may accent the beat on a different beat, but they have the salsa music, and if you take some of that out of there and play it, you can hear some second line, and you can hear the cousins, you know, like cousins rhythmically.
The trip to Havana includes an instrument giveaway for some of the conservatory students, but it's not all studying tunes. Many New Orleans musicians traveled, performed, and shared with all of the students as well.
I think the exchange is a perfect word because they're giving me something, I want to give them something, and eventually we make something beautiful.
The annual exchange is called Gettin' Funky in Havana, produced by Cuba Educational Travel and supported by the GMA-owned Prima Foundation. A 5-day taste of all that the Caribbean island has to offer, but centered around lifting up the music and these young musicians.
Although we may be in different parts of the world, we still have similar musicians, still similar sounds, similar knowledge in music.
For Honoring Black History, sharing our stories, I'm LBJ.
The passion to heal. It's a dream one former officer made the call to take on. Now it's becoming a reality. Coming up next, how this yoga teacher is making history in her community and how she's providing a space to keep her culture's ancient practices accessible.
My baby's back from the West Coast.
Hear those pictures that you asked for your school project? First day of school, cute as a button.
So long ago.
Oh, here's Grandma Florence after that flood wiped out the whole neighborhood.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here.
I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe. And it's the best way to protect that legacy.
Those beans smell heavenly.
Give Mom a little credit.
You know what? We should make an emergency communication plan. That way we're ready this year.
Oh,
great idea.
At my dorm, we have emergency kits for earthquakes and wildfires, but I'm sure there's something more local I can send you with the link.
Okay.
Smart.
I'm coming to share with you guys.
Protect your legacy. Plan for natural disasters today. Visit ready.gov/plan.
I heard about you. You're that smart kid.
Young Sheldon, boy genius on Origin Story.
Yes, that's me.
A small town boy.
Young man. Yes, you.
With supersonic hearing. Visionary vision.
Cheeky little Miwan, you know you don't belong there.
A delicate palate.
What's he drinking?
Pork chop and gravy.
Emotional intelligence.
Would you like to be friends?
I don't think so.
What if I told you I admired your boldly applied makeup?
Hypersensitive touch.
I tried to pet fish, and he bit me!
Fish like this don't bite.
Ah! Wow! Dad killed my fish!
You'll be fine. Just gotta put him back in the bowl.
Stellar ingenuity.
Are you into rocketry?
How hard could it be?
And a heightened sense of smell.
Ew. Put your shoes back on!
Young Sheldon.
Weeknights at 5:30 on Fox 43.
You can't smell this.
Yes, I can!
Welcome back. Well, it's only 90 seconds and has no sound, but it's a glimpse of a moment once thought lost to history. Right now, you're seeing rare, never-before-seen video of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speaking at North Carolina State University in 1966. It's part of a visualization gallery in Raleigh, North Carolina. When you walk in, it's a 10-minute immersive experience. It also shows the Ku Klux Klan marching in downtown Raleigh to protest Dr. King's visit. It took North Carolina State English professor Jason Miller and his team 5 years to bring the speech to life.
Fortunately, because one man had his video camera going that day, he documented that history and is setting the record straight that right now we know that Dr. King and his forces had an incredible impact.
Now, 1,800 protesters demonstrated downtown. Dr. King spoke to a crowd of more than 5,000 people at Reynolds Coliseum, and his speech was broadcasted live across the state. The call of healing. It's one woman's passion that she's ensuring the ancient practices of yoga are accessible to her culture. Allie Duncan is the owner and teacher of one of Denver's only black-owned yoga studios. She opened the center in 2016 after noticing a lack of diversity at other studios. When she couldn't find the community, she was seeking, she created her own. And now, just 7 years later, she purchased her building and is excited to see her dream become a reality.
Offering those experiences that just open the eyes of the marginalized community, where there's like, okay, this is healing. No places where I saw a lot of black and brown bodies on the mat, and so I stopped asking why aren't there these spaces?
Now, Duncan says she just received a grant for the historical building to get a facelift. Construction begins this year. A reputation of excellence has driven this high school senior with many achievements. But her one dream to be a queen became a major milestone in her school's history. Up next, she shares how her historic crowning of royalty goes deeper than the sparkly dress.
Come to the Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library as we celebrate Black history. Hear from Black authors, explore art exhibits from the Black American Blueprint Collective, see Humanities Kansas traveling exhibit in March and more. Visit the Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library website for more details.
That's my neighbor. Hey, Joe.
Hey, John.
Joe's about to make a very big mistake. Hey, Joe, don't you think it'd be a good idea if you called 811 and get your underground utilities marked?
This isn't my first project.
I think there's an oil pipeline goes through here somewhere.
It's on my neighbor's side.
Oh, you think so? Remember, safe digging always begins with a free call to 811. You need a towel there, Slick?
I was not a cancer mom until I was a cancer mom. You don't know until it's you. It can happen to anybody at any point.
We believe in the mission at St. Jude. We've experienced it. There's so many things that St. Jude does outside of treat cancer.
The research is shared. What they're doing matters to so many people. This entire facility is making changes for children. I may not have a son if it weren't for St. Jude, and we would have a totally different life right now. We need St. Jude. We all need St. Jude.
Come to the Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library as we celebrate Black history. Hear from Black authors, explore art exhibits from the Black American Blueprint Collective, see Humanities Kansas traveling exhibit in March and more. Visit the Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library website for more details.
Finally tonight in Charleston, South Carolina, a high school senior is making history. In her school's 155 years, she is the first ever African-American homecoming queen. Hannah Powers introduces us to this very talented young lady and her impressive achievements in and out of the classroom.
They had a moment of silence where they said, "Who will be the homecoming queen?" And they called my name and I won.
That is Amber Wilson DeBriano. She is a current senior at Porter Gowd, where she's attended school for the past 12 years. It's a school that has a storied reputation of academic excellence and prestige here in the Lowcountry. And this year, Wilson DeBriano marked a major milestone in the school's over 100-year history.
I shouldn't dare to dream that I could be the homecoming queen because no other black girl had won before me. But when they called my name, I felt like I finally gave kids something to dream about and to know that they can do this too.
Bringing change, she acknowledges, goes far deeper than the crown and sparkly dress on homecoming night. She is the co-founder of the Porter Gowd Black Excellence Society, and she embodies that role every day, taking multiple AP classes and, according to her family, maintaining a stellar GPA. Also serving as co-president of the Chinese Club, earning the seal of biliteracy twice, and co-creator of Porter Gowd's first art club. She gives credit to a supportive community and family, and yet she is still the first.
When I got into high school, I felt like I really had a calling to be somebody who can make a way for black students. And when I was nominated to be homecoming queen, I felt like this was the perfect way to build a legacy and to bring change to the school.
Perhaps the most important achievement on Wilson DeBriano's already lengthy resume is that she is loved and respected by her peers. Besides being smart, they say she's a good friend, and that's why her classmates voted to make her the homecoming queen. Her story receiving national recognition, rightfully so. She is the first, but as she says, not the last.
On homecoming night, I took so many pictures with such young black children, and I want them to look at me and believe that this is something that's attainable for them. It felt like finally I can give them some sort of dream and help them. Even if I get to just stand here and wear a crown, it means so much more than just being the queen. My win is not just for me, it's for all of the younger kids.
And deep in the heart of central Brooklyn, New York, construction is ahead of schedule on a new $140 million recreation center, named for a trailblazing woman who was ahead of her time. Shirley Chisholm was the first black woman elected to Congress and the first black major party candidate to run for the highest office in the land. She would have turned 100 this year. Now the community is honoring her for the seeds she has planted. The facility will feature a fitness center, a pool, and a media center designed to give kids an alternative to the streets. We thank you for joining us for this special coverage of Black History Month. Have a great night.
This has been a special presentation of Honoring Black History.